You think you know Emperor Palpatine, the hooded figure cackling in his throne room, shooting lightning from his fingertips. You see a frail old man, a master manipulator who played the galaxy like a chessboard. But what if I told you that was just a mask? A puppet show for the Jedi, the Senate, and for you. What if the real Palpatine, the being known as Darth Sidious, wielded powers so profound, so terrifying, they didn't just defy the Force, they broke the laws of reality itself. The Jedi believed they understood the Force. They saw it as a river, with a light side and a dark side. They taught their students to float along with the current of the light. But Palpatine, he wasn't interested in floating. He wanted to build a dam. He wanted to drain the river dry and bend every last drop to his will. He delved into forbidden texts, ancient Sith spells that the Jedi thought were nothing more than scary stories. And in the shadows, he mastered abilities that would make him more than an emperor. They would make him a god. His first, and perhaps most crucial power, was one of absolute deception. For decades, Sheev Palpatine walked the halls of power on Coruscant. He stood feet away from Yoda, from Mace Windu, from the most powerful Jedi masters of the age. And they felt nothing. This wasn't just hiding his emotions. This was an act of profound dark side mastery. Imagine a black hole, an object of such immense gravity it consumes light itself. That was Palpatine. He was a walking void of dark side energy, yet he projected an aura of a harmless, ambitious politician. He wrapped his foulness in a shroud of light so convincing, he made the Jedi Temple, the very heart of the light side in the galaxy, his personal hiding spot. This constant, draining act of suppression, maintained for years without a single slip, required a level of control and power no Jedi could even comprehend. They were looking for a monster, never suspecting the monster was the one shaking their hands, but hiding his power was just the beginning. Palpatine was obsessed with the ultimate form of control, creation itself. On the lost Sith world of Exegol, hidden in the dark corners of the galaxy, he practiced a twisted art the ancients called Sith Alchemy. This wasn't about turning lead into gold. It was about twisting flesh and blood, warping the very essence of life. His laboratories were a gallery of horrors. Failed experiments, grotesque creatures, and legions of clone bodies, each one a potential vessel for his power. You saw this with Snoke, a puppet engineered from scratch to lead the First Order. Palpatine wasn't just building an army of soldiers. He was trying to build life that was inherently his. Life born from the dark side, loyal only to its creator. He was playing God, and the galaxy was his petri dish. This obsession with creation was a direct challenge to the Force, an arrogant declaration that he, not the cosmos, would decide who lives and who dies. This arrogance led him to master a power so destructive, it's barely whispered about in the darkest corners of Sith lore. A power that made the Death Star look like a child's firecracker. They called it the Force Storm. Now, when you hear that, you might picture the lightning that shot from his fingers. No. You need to think bigger. Think cosmic. A Force Storm wasn't weather. It was a wound. A rip in the fabric of space-time itself, summoned by pure, undiluted hatred. By focusing his rage, Palpatine could tear open hyperspace, creating a vortex of raw, chaotic energy. It was a hurricane of cosmic violence that didn't just blow ships apart, it swallowed them whole. Entire fleets could be erased from existence, dragged into a chaotic dimension from which there was no return. There are fragmented accounts from the days after his first death, tales from terrified rebel pilots who witnessed it. They describe a storm appearing from nowhere in the blackness of space. Not a nebula, not a gas cloud, but a swirling, screaming tear in reality. It descended upon a New Republic fleet, and in moments, ships, crews, everything were simply gone. Vanished. The most terrifying part? The storm was barely controllable. It was the physical manifestation of his rage, a weapon that could just as easily consume him as it could his enemies. To wield such a power is to hold a star in your hands. It is the ultimate act of cosmic vandalism, and Palpatine unleashed it with a cackle. Destroying fleets and worlds is one thing, but the ultimate enemy of any emperor, any tyrant, is time. Death comes for everyone. And this, Palpatine refused to accept. So he mastered the most forbidden Sith art of all, essence transfer. This is the secret to his impossible return, the dark truth behind the cloning on Exegol. Essence transfer is exactly what it sounds like. The ability to rip your own spirit, your consciousness, your very soul, out of a dying body and force it into a new one. It is the ultimate act of self-preservation and the ultimate violation. It's not a peaceful reincarnation. It is a parasitic, violent possession. The spirit of the Sith Lord wages war against the mind of the new host, crushing it, consuming it, until the body is nothing more than a meat puppet. This is why he needed those clones. His original body was destroyed, his spirit cast out into the void. He was a ghost, a scream of pure rage floating in the darkness. He threw his essence across the galaxy to Exegol, into a clone body. But his power was too immense. These imperfect vessels couldn't contain him. They would decay, rot, and burn out from the sheer, raw power of his dark side spirit. His quest wasn't just for power anymore. It was a desperate, horrifying search for a suitable container that could hold his immortal consciousness. He had achieved what the Jedi deemed impossible. He had defeated death. But it came at a terrible price, trapping him in a cycle of decay and rebirth, forever chained to his own unnatural existence. So you have deception, creation, destruction, and immortality. But what was the fifth, final power? What was the ultimate goal? It wasn't an ability you could find in a Sith holocron. It was the synthesis of all of them. The final power was to become the dark side. Palpatine's endgame wasn't just to rule the galaxy. It was to become the central point of the galaxy's destiny, to control the Force itself. He wanted to transform himself from a man using the dark side into the living, breathing engine of the dark side. By living forever, by controlling life and death, by commanding storms that could break reality, he would fundamentally rewrite the rules of the cosmos. The Force would no longer flow through him. It would flow from him. He would be the source, the self-made god of a galaxy, remade in his own dark image. When the Jedi faced him, they thought they were fighting a Sith Lord. They were wrong. They were fighting a man who had stared into the abyss of forbidden knowledge and made the abyss blink first. He had peeled back the layers of reality and found the cheat codes to the universe. And though he was defeated, the true horror is this: the knowledge he uncovered can't be destroyed. The path to breaking reality, to cheating death, to becoming a god, it's still out there, waiting in the shadows, waiting for the next person ambitious enough and arrogant enough to follow it. The threat of Palpatine was never just the man himself. It was the horrifying possibility that he proved it could be done.